What's up, guys? This is the Osmo.com night shift talking baseball for Tuesday, May 22nd. This is your host, Jake Hari. We've got 15 games on the slate, so we'll go pretty quickly through each one. Some interesting notes on most of the games. Some of them I'll just go right through. We're going to have to be a little bit discerning with 15 games. So some games I'll talk about for a couple minutes. Some games will be very, very brief. Get to Osmo.com. Check out the premium membership. With that, you get access to videos from Osmo himself talking basic strategy. His lineup card, which is a very interesting read where he goes through and sort of gives you different looks at different things each slate, like some ownership stuff, like top stack projections, top pitcher projections, and stuff like that. You also get access to his ownership percentages, which are also very cool to see where the entire industry is going to be, or where he projects the entire industry to be as far as ownership. Let's get into this. We'll start with San Diego and Washington. We've got Eric Lauer going up against Jeremy Hellickson. Not really interested in the pitching here. The Washington bats, I think, are one of the better stacks on the night, and there are quite a bit of them. So when I say one of the better ones, that's like top 6 or 7, maybe 8 stacks that I'm liking at this after this first look. Lauer has 50% hard contact against him against right-handed hitters this season. So give me Mark Reynolds, give me Trey Turner. I cannot believe Mark Reynolds was the first name out of my mouth as far as hitters go. But I do like him. Rendon is probably my favorite, and then Harper for 5,300. Hopefully he's going to see a righty at some point because he's jammed in between all these righties on the Nationals. So I like the stack against Lauer, certainly in the top tier of stacks. Hellickson has actually been okay, but he's 8,000 here. I'm just not going to do it for AK. I don't think I want to target against him. There are a lot better hitting options than the Padres, I think, tonight. Atlanta and Philadelphia. We got Brandon McCarthy going up against Vince Velasquez. McCarthy had a really nice start against the Cubs, but I'm not going to him here on the road against the Phillies. I just need to see more out of him, so I'm going to wait and see with McCarthy. $6,200. There are some weird prices for some pitchers tonight, and McCarthy's just not going to end up on my teams. I like Santana and Odubel Herrera against him. And I'm not really looking to stack the Phillies, although I could probably get to it with Nick Williams. If he's in the top 6, he's 2,800 on DK. So maybe a stack makes sense here, but I don't think the Phillies are really a stack that I'm zeroing in on. Velasquez has a really good price, 7,500 on DK. I think there are some guys I like better in his price range, but I get if you want to play him. He's been really good lately. Just a matchup that I'm not crazy about against the Braves, who don't strike out that much, got a lot of power and speed in their lineup. So that worries me for Velasquez. The Atlanta bats I like against him are really Freeman and Albies is about it. So I do like Velasquez, but there are a lot of options on the slate for both hitting and pitching, so I don't know if I'll actually end up getting to him. Cleveland and Chicago, we've got Trevor Bauer going up against Tyler Chatwood. Bauer's got the stuff to dominate the Cubs for sure. I think I probably will not be reaping the benefits if he does. I just can't get past Bauer being 11-7 on DraftKings. He's been really, really good, so he probably deserves that price, but in Wrigley, don't know what the weather's really going to be like. It looks like in the 60s. I don't know if there's going to be wind blowing in or out, so that might make a little bit of a difference. He is priced a little bit too close to Sale or Garrett Cole for me, so I don't think I will get to him tonight. But I'm not targeting any Cubs bats against him either. Chatwood on the other side is 6,500. He had a really, really lucky start last time out against Atlanta. He's really not missing the bats you'd want to see. I'm definitely not playing him here and probably want to stack against him. So, I mean, I like really 1, 2, and 3 for Cleveland. So Lindor, Brantley, Ramirez, all guys that I think are near the top of their respective positions on DraftKings. Just a bunch of really good hitters, and Chatwood's going to have trouble with them for sure. LA and Toronto. Garrett Richards going up against J.A. Happ. I'm not sure what exactly to make of Richards in general. He seems to have that blow-up inning almost every start. His pitch count gets way up. He's a little bit frustrating if you have him in DFS. I've known that, or I've learned that the hard way, I should say. He's got really good stuff. There's no doubt about that. He'll be on my list of guys I consider tonight, but I don't think he's near the top, especially point per dollar. I think $7,800 is a fair price. It's a pretty good matchup against the Blue Jays, but not one that I'm dying to play Garrett Richards in. The Toronto Bats are, well, I think the only couple I would play against him are the power righties, so Donaldson and Teoscar Hernandez. I prefer the righties against Richards. He's been giving up a lot of hard contact against right-handed hitters this year. Happ on the other side has really dominated any neutral to good matchups this year, and then obviously struggled in the subpar ones. This is a subpar matchup for really anyone. Lefty pitchers, righty pitchers. The Angels are just tough top to bottom, don't really strike out that much. You got to face Trout and Upton. Andrelton Simmons, Zach Cozart's been crushing lefties, so I'm going to be off Happ here. I just cannot play him against probably 9 righties. The Angels bats I like are some of the guys I just mentioned, Trout, Simmons, and then Cozart, who is mashing against lefties. He's got a 43% hard contact rate against them this year, and he's probably going to be leading off for 2,500 with dual position eligibility on DraftKings. Miami and the Mets. Caleb Smith going up against Zach Wheeler. Smith, so I absolutely love Caleb Smith here. I think the Mets I have as one of the worst teams in the MLB against lefties this year, and Smith is legit. He's got 11.8% swinging strike rate, 26th in whiffs per swing this year, 3 really good pitches, and he's probably going to get some lefties here. Bruce, Nimmo, Conforto probably going to be in this lineup. Wheeler's a lefty, and the pitcher, so that's double bonus there. I love Smith. 6,400. I think he's well underpriced. He is a really good pitcher. I hope he's not highly owned on this 15-game slate, and I don't think I'll have to worry about that too much. But he is an absolutely awesome value from what I'm seeing, and I don't want to target any Mets bats against him. I really, really like Smith. Wheeler on the other side, he just hasn't really shown enough for me to want to play him. He's had a couple good starts. He's had some really, really bad starts. And the Marlins have a few decent hitters. Real Muto and Prado doesn't really strike out. Bohr can hit righties really well. It's kind of a so-so matchup both ways. Not on Wheeler, not really targeting Marlins bats. I really, really like Caleb Smith in this game, though. So he's almost certainly going to be on the spotlight pitchers unless something changes between now and the morning. Boston and Tampa Bay. Chris Sale going up against Jake Faria. Sale is 13,100. It's not a great matchup. The Rays actually have been okay against lefties, and Sale's matchup proof. I mean, you don't have to have me tell you that he's a good play. He is a good play. He's dominated this team a number of times over the last year or so. And if you have the salary, I have no problem with him. And you might if you pay down at your second spot, because there are guys like Smith where that saves you a ton of salary, and a few other guys down at the bottom. So Sale, one of my top options on the night, if not my top option. It's between him and Garrett Cole. Faria has been pounded by the Red Sox twice this year, and I kind of expect the same here again. They know his tendencies. He's 5,600. The Red Sox are going to be way priced up here, especially Mookie Betts up to 6K. JD Martinez over 5,000. And, well, actually, I sort of misspoke there. The Red Sox aren't really priced up that much as a team. Bogarts for 4,200 is a price I love. I like Devers for 33, Hanley for 4,000, Benintendi under 5,000. I mean, I just like all these Red Sox. I hope that people aren't really on them because of the park. But the Red Sox are one of my favorite stacks on the night. Like Faria against righties this year is allowing over 40% hard contact. And then we always say when the Red Sox are going up against the righty that they're one of the best teams in the MLB against right-handed pitchers. So just love the Red Sox, love Chris Sale. Boston Onslaught for me is all this game is really about Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Jameson Taillon versus Matt Harvey. Let me find this game. So Taillon for 7,300 against the Reds bats is a matchup that I'm not really on either side of. I think you need huge upside tonight to do well, at least point per dollar, and I don't really think Taillon has it tonight. Just a whatever matchup for me in a bad pitcher's park. Harvey on the other side, man, lefties are just teeing off on him this year. 45% hard contact, 512 xFIP for Harvey against lefties. He's not really that great against righties either, but the Pirates have a few good lefties that I'm targeting. I love Dickerson, Polanco, Josh Bell, Colin Moran, and Austin Meadows. Like, I love all of them. I think they make for a great five-man stack, the five I just listed off. But I don't even mind Francisco Cervelli for 3,500 righty-righty. I don't think Harvey has really changed anything since he's come over to Cincinnati. I think he's still a gas can. He's going to have a tough time in this park. The power, like, he's been giving up so much power since the start of last year. And I really expect big things out of the Pirates here. Arizona and Milwaukee. We've got Matt Cook going up against Julius Chassin. Easy for me to say. Chassin just dominated the Brewers. 7 innings, 7 Ks. Dominated the Brewers. Dominated the Diamondbacks. If he would have dominated his own team, that would have been very noteworthy. He just dominated the Diamondbacks in his last start. 7 innings, 7 Ks. I have some interest in Chassin, but I think the Caleb Smith love that I have will probably be enough to get me off of Chassin. They're in the similar price range on DK. The Diamondbacks have been pretty awful against right-handed pitching this year, and they just haven't been that good for a while now. Their best hitter, Goldschmidt, is really, really struggling. So I do like Chassin a little bit, but not really one of my top options on the night. The Brewers bats I really like against Matt Cook, Yelich, and Shaw, two of my favorite plays on the night. Kane is in play. I don't even dislike Domingo Santana, Jonathan VR. I mean, Lorenzo Kane leading off. Like, Aguilar's been hitting the ball really hard. These Brewers, they make a lot of sense tonight, and they've only got a 4.6 run total, but I think that's going to creep up as the day goes on. I think the Brewers will actually be one of the lower-owned stacks that I like. Rangers are hosting the Yankees. We have got Domingo Germán against, or Germán, probably Germán, versus Cole Hamels. So Germán, I love the idea of targeting against Texas. It's, of course, risky. You said the same thing with Tanaka, but he had a 9K game against the Indians in his first start, which is really, really tough to do, really impressive. He's only had 2 starts so far, but he's thrown 159 pitches. He's got a 33.8 whiffs per swing percentage, which would put him in the top 10 in the MLB. Obviously a very short sample. I'm not expecting him to go super deep. I think he's thrown 75 and 84 pitches in his first 2 starts. But for 6K against the Rangers, who swing and miss as much as anyone, he's got my attention for sure. He's not 6K, 6,600. The Texas bats I don't really like. I'd much rather take a shot at $6,600 Domingo Germán against them. And I don't know if I'm saying that right, so correct me if I'm not. Cole Hamels against the Yankees bats. I'm just not going to play Hamels. Like, I'm not playing lefties against the Yankees. Hamels has a 45% hard contact rate against right-handed hitting this year. You know how I feel about Hamels if you've listened to me. I mean, I could see him doing okay here. Like, I don't think he's going to get completely blown up or anything. I do like Sanchez and Stanton and Aaron Judge against him. I think that's going to be really tough for him. It's tough for anyone, obviously. Those are three really good hitters, guys with tons of power. So no Hamels for me. I do like a little Yankees mini stack, but not full-on stacking against Cole Hamels. Detroit and Minnesota, we've got Matt Boyd going up against Lance Lynn. Against Boyd, I like the top four for the Twins. I think they'll go somewhat overlooked for having a 5 total here, but there certainly is some value. I talked about how Kepler and Rosario are hitting lefties very well this season on the MLB strategy video on Monday, and then Escobar and Dozier both make sense as well. So I like the top 4. Not really going beyond that for the Twins. I mean, you can make a case for Garver, but that's about it. Lance Lynn is one of the more interesting guys on the slate, actually, and it's mostly because of his price. He's $4,500. If he was like $6,000 or somewhere around there, like I wouldn't really pay too much attention to him. But $4,500, you're near min salary on DraftKings. I don't know. Is there some sort of pitch count that I'm missing? Because I haven't seen it yet. Obviously, this is the night before, so maybe I'm just missing something on Lynn. If he's got some hard pitch count or something, then this analysis obviously probably isn't valid. But from what I'm seeing right now, Lynn's been bad the last couple starts, but those were against the Angels and the Cardinals. Not exactly walk in the park matchups for anyone. Like, he's shown that he can miss bats, and this Tigers lineup is pretty awful. I mean, you could pretty much play whoever you want. If you play Lynn, you don't need him to score a ton of points. If he gets you 12 to 15 DraftKings points, which I think is certainly viable, assuming he has his normal pitch count, then you're just thrilled for $4,500. That is a super, super cheap price for a starting pitcher, and one that's favored. He's minus 157 right now. So got to consider Lance Lynn, I think, even though we don't love him as a pitcher. This is DFS, so you got to play the pricing too. And Lynn certainly makes some sense. Baltimore and Chicago, the White Sox. We've got Kevin Gausman going up against James Shields. This is not a game that I really have a lot of interest in, outside of maybe a few hitters to sprinkle in. I'm not going to Gausman. He's got home run problems. Doesn't have Caleb Joseph catching him anymore. He's not really throwing his best pitch. So if I was going to stack one side, it would be the White Sox bats with Moncada, Abreu, Davidson, Yolmer Sanchez. Like, those guys all are interesting to me. I think there are a few better stacks that I like than the White Sox, but I don't really mind stacking against Gausman, at least not lately. And then the Baltimore bats against James Shields, I'm not really crazy about them. Shields has been missing bats lately, and Baltimore has a ton of righties. So I could almost get to playing Shields if it were a smaller slate or a different slate with a lot less options down here at 5,300. But like I said, you got Lance Lynn, Caleb Smith, and Domingo Germán. So I think Machado and Scope make some sense here. I mean, it's James Shields. He could blow up at any time. So I'm not saying, like, don't stack the Orioles, but I don't think I'm really going to be doing it, and I'll probably have limited teams. So probably nobody from this game that I'm thrilled about outside of Moncada for $4,000. He's just too cheap against a righty power speed combo. If he puts the ball in play, he's going to hit it hard. San Francisco and Houston. Andrew Suarez going up against Garrett Cole. Cole grades out as one of the best pitchers in the MLB. Well, he's the best pitcher on this slate from my model, and one of the best in the MLB this season. I love him here. He's 12.9, not even the most expensive pitcher on the slate. Not that that really matters, but under 13K, going up against the Giants, who they don't pose like a tough matchup for Cole, and he's just been going nuts. Like, seemingly every start. He had like a bad start last time, went 5 innings and 7 strikeouts against, I think it was the Angels. I don't have that in front of me right now, but that was like his bad start, quote unquote. So love Cole. If you prefer him over Sale or the other way around, I can't really argue. I think they're both awesome plays. It just depends on if you can get the right bats with them. Andrew Suarez against the Houston Bats. Suarez is giving up 50% hard contact to righties this year. 90.5 mile an hour average exit velocity against them. And the Houston Bats are in play, of course. And they're priced down like quite a bit. George Springer for $4,900. Like, okay, that's a normal price for Springer. Altuve for $4,600. You're getting a little bit of a discount. Correa for $4,200 against a lefty is ridiculous. That should never happen. Yuli Gurriel for $3,400 against a lefty. Gaddis $3,300 against a lefty. Those top 6 are super, super cheap for the Astros, and Suarez giving up a ton of hard contact. If he's not missing bats, he's going to get pounded by these Astros. A 5-run total for Houston, and I love them all, especially those top 6. So Houston, for sure, one of my favorite stacks of the night, one of the top 3 to 5, and maybe even top 2 or 3. Like, I think they're a pretty awesome stack. KC and St. Louis. Jason Hamill is one of my favorite pitchers to stack against. He's pitching for Kansas City. I just don't really see anything I like about him. He doesn't really K a lot of guys. Gives up a bunch of hard hits. His xFIP is above 5. I think he's just a bad pitcher. So I'm on St. Louis Bats, of course. I like Ozuna and Martinez, Carpenter, Pham, like you name it. I'm on St. Louis. This is a night where I wish I had a ton of lineups to play with. I wish I had 150. I don't really think I'm gonna go with 150 or anything like that. I might just go with 1. So it's gonna be tough for me to decide where I want to end up stacking, because they're another top 5 or so stack for me, up there with Houston and Boston, Cleveland, the Nationals. Like, there are quite a bit of options tonight, and St. Louis is certainly amongst the best. Luke Weaver for $8,500 against the Royals is something I'm not really interested in. He had a good start last time, so I'll take my L on Weaver. I think he's still overrated. The matchup is just too tough. The Royals have not been striking out at all against righties this year. Lowest K rate in the MLB against righties on the season, and by a pretty wide margin, by like 2%. Like, it's like 16% they're striking out against righties, which is 7% below the league average about. So no Weaver for me. Seattle and Oakland. Mike Leake going up against Trevor Cahill. I love stacking against Leake, and I will be looking forward to doing it again tonight, or hopefully doing it. Man, it's going to be like impossible to get down to one lineup. Maybe I'll go with like 3 to 5. See if I can find a sweet spot in there and get some exposure to most of these top stacks. But anyways, Oakland bats that I like are Jed Lowry, Matt Olson. Love Chris Davis here. Leake's a guy who gives up a ton of hard contact to righties, in addition to lefties. But Matt Chapman makes sense for $4,300. I like that 3 through 6. So Lowry, Davis, Olson, and Chapman. Just a lot of power coming out of those guys. Looks like we got some wind blowing out. It is a little bit colder than you'd want. 55 degrees, it looks like, at game time. I don't think Oakland's going to be super highly owned. 4.7 run total. But, man, I really, really like Oakland too. Cahill. So this I'll talk about this Mariners matchup. This isn't a great matchup. Going up against the Mariners. No Cano, obviously, but they just don't really strike out that much. They're not like on the Royals level or anything, but like they're bottom 5 in the league in strikeouts. They've got a decent ISO against righties. They're tough, and I am a little bit worried about Cahill. I don't think there are a ton of strikeouts here. His velocity was down a little bit in his last start. So I'm just concerned that he may not be 100% healthy, and I don't want to start. I don't want to play a guy in DFS that I don't think is 100% healthy, and that's sort of what I'm thinking about Cahill. He had a disaster first inning against the Red Sox in his last start. I think he threw like 34 or 35 pitches or something crazy like that, and then he was okay. He settled down after that and win a few more innings, but I'm just a little bit worried about Cahill, so I have to dig into him more tomorrow, but as of now, I'm not really super interested in him or the Seattle Bats. Colorado and LA. Chad Bettis is not a guy I'll be playing. I do like targeting some bats against him. Under 20% K rate. I believe he's under even like 18% K rate against both sides. So, does give up some hard contact. I like Bellinger and Justin Turner and Grandal. They're all priced in spots where I like them. Grandal is probably one of my favorite catchers on the entire slate, just crushing righties this year. Just like he was last year, he's hitting lefties a lot better too, so you don't have to worry about him having as many terrible at-bats against lefties as he was last year. Just a completely different hitter against righties and lefties last year, Grandal was. Maeda going for the Dodgers. I don't think he's confirmed, so I hope it ends up being Maeda. But he is 9,000 on DraftKings. I do like him. I do like the matchup a lot. He's sort of in the price range by himself as far as guys that I would play in his range. I prefer him over Weaver and Hamels, way over Boyd and Garrett Richards and Happ. So he would be my guy in kind of this $7,500 to $9,300 range or $9,200 range. I don't know if I'll end up getting to him because I like the idea of getting like Caleb Smith and then Sale or Garrett Cole. So I don't know if my lineup construction will allow me to get a lot of Maeda. But the Rockies are awful outside of Coors, and awful outside of Coors against righties too. So Maeda's a guy that will certainly be on my radar on this slate. And that will wrap it up. Get to osmo.com, check out the premium subscription. I know a lot of our subscribers are very happy with the amount of content and the quality of content that we're putting out. Check out the MLB strategy video with myself and Josh Engelman, and then check out the live stream on Tuesday, the live stream before lock. That's at 6 Eastern with me and Chris Spags. Should be a really fun slate, a lot to dig through, so we will have content flowing out, spotlight hitters, pitchers, and stacks, and should be another great night of baseball. Hope this was enjoyable for you guys. Hope this kind of got you started with your research for the day.